This is the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you stories from the peak to peak, in print, and online. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamey Lammers, and welcome to Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, a weekly series brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. This week, I'm bringing you Jamey and Heather Bilyeu of the duo Ravin. I recently sat down with them during their performance at the Very Nice Brewing Company Nederland location at the Vault. I talked with them before the show began and during intermission. And I barely even had to ask any questions because they ended up telling me a whole ton of background that didn't even make it into the final version of the Music of the Mountains column. We talked about a lot of backstory before we started recording, but there are so many awesome anecdotes in this particular interview as well. So be sure to stay tuned for this episode, which is split in those two parts, before the show starts and during intermission. So, without further ado, this is Ravin. Do you guys just mind introducing yourselves real quick?
I'm Heather Bilyeu, aka Faye Ravin of Ravin Wolf, rhythm guitar player, former keyboardist from Portland, Oregon.
James Bilyeu. Just recently had to change my name back from all kinds of other misnomers. Jamey Bilyeu is my name. A lead guitar player, vocalist for Ravin Wolf for 32 years. Born in Boulder, Colorado, played music in 5th and 6th grade at Mesa Elementary School, had a band called Evolution 5, and won second place at the Boulder High School talent show. It was called Stars of Tomorrow. We won second place, and I was in 5th grade. I was very happy about that. So we ended up moving to Washington State, and then that's when I did high school football and that kind of thing. As soon as I got done with high school there, I came back to Boulder, Colorado, and ended up carrying Joe Walsh's amplifier and hanging out with bands like Woody and the Too High Band, Firefall, and Fogelberg, REO Speedwagon, so many bands, Dusty Drapes and the Dusters, so many great bands back then. So then about after 4 years, I moved back to Seattle, and I started my long climb up into that rock world. Ended up working with many different bands, and I opened for just about every 70s band that ever came through Seattle. So the list is very long there, but I had many a good night opening and doing the original songs that I wrote with a band called the Yard Dogs. That broke up in about 92 with the advent of grunge rock in Seattle, which was a seismic shake-up for the entire world. Everybody was lost all their hair because of too much hairspray, and the LA bands sucked. So I moved to my high school town again to hang out with some friends and met Heather there in Ellensburg, Washington. And then the pooped on the pillowcase story will be emailed to you so you can get that word for word.
Okay, cool. To clarify what Jamey is talking about here, this is a story that he told me before we started recording, of when he first discovered that he and Heather were both musicians. This was a night where a dog just so happened to poop on Jamey's pillowcase before the evening was over. But that's not the point of the story in the end. We'll come back to that story during the break before the intermission part of the interview.
Then we formed Ravin Wolf.
So then the pooped on the pillowcase happens, and I realized she's very talented. So I we went straight to work. That Thursday night, we played a place called the Tav in Ellensburg, Washington, Central Washington State, with no amplifiers or anything. John Prine, some Joan Baez, Dylan, some Neil Young, some stuff that I had scraped together, and she had already written a couple of really good originals. We did some of my originals, and then it wasn't long before we were off and rolling. And we were basically formed that night in Ellensburg, but we actually moved right away to Roslyn, Washington, where they filmed Northern Exposure. That's kind of a cult TV show. Are you familiar with it?
I love Northern Exposure.
Oh, well, that's Roslyn. Yeah, and all those people, the actors involved, we became tight with most of them, and we've got a chance to play a lot of shows at the famous Brick Tavern. That's in the show. That's a real place. We did 33 weeks every Sunday afternoon in that joint. playing with some great musicians. And a Sunday afternoon at the back door there, it was like those were the days. It was incredibly beautiful. Roslyn still is. The Brick Tavern existed. So Delicious Bar happened. Many different bars came and went. So Roslyn was basically the starting place. And then we ended up playing with some hot shots in Seattle and climbed back up that ladder. And Heather got a chance to open up for Elvin Bishop, and she opened for the Romantics and some other tailings of 70s acts that we were invited to open. Lots. Alice Stewart was a big one that we did. Lots of those acts. And so moving forward, we came here to Boulder, Colorado about 14 years ago after taking care of my parents. When they passed, we came back down here and found the Boulder, Colorado music scene to be quite different than it used to be. So we had spoke about bluegrass. We were just thrilled that many musicians that crawled out of the woods here and became such stalwart stanchions, if you will, of the bluegrass scene nationwide, even worldwide. And so we're very pleased to be back, and we play our own brand of acoustic mountain sagebrush blues. We're Ravin Wolf. We got to go to work right now.
Yeah, because you guys are about to perform upstairs here. We're at the Very Nice Brewing location. We're at the Vault, and we're about to perform. You guys are about to perform at the Very Nice Brewing location. In
Thank you, Jamie, and we'll continue this on break then.
We'll continue this on break.
Right.
This is where Jamey and Heather went upstairs to perform the first half of their show. I'm going to take a minute here and read what Jamey sent me about the story of when he discovered Heather was a musician. It began in late summer 1994. Heather and I had been seeing each other for about 3 months. At the time, I was playing with my talented late brother Bill in local bands in central Washington state after the demise of a Seattle band called the Yard Dogs. The first time I stayed at her place in Ellensburg, Washington, I woke the next morning to the sound of Ann Wilson singing the song Dog and Butterfly, accompanied by a 12-string guitar in the next room, on what I assumed was a boombox or a stereo. Since I had just come from Seattle working with Ann and Nancy Wilson on the Concert for Peace at the Paramount in Seattle, I was very familiar with Ann's catalog and did not recall her doing a solo version of Dog and Butterfly with just a 12-string accompaniment. So I crawled into the next room to find that it was not Ann Wilson on a recording. It was Heather singing and playing the song on her dad's 1963 Gibson 12-string. Her voice was strong, powerful, with its own unique, incredible sound, similar to Ann's voice. The ever-humble Heather had never mentioned that she was a very gifted musician when we first started dating, so I was extremely surprised, and the wheels began to turn. We played a gig 2 days later, and the rest is history. I'll let Jamey and Heather continue telling their story in just a bit here, but first, a word from our sponsor. This summer, don't go it alone. Take simple steps for better air. Carpool or take transit where you need to go. Relax on the bus down to Boulder for your commute, or catch the Bustang around the entire state. Road trips and errands are also more fun with company, and carpooling saves on gas too. Know when it matters most by signing up for ozone alerts from the Regional Air Quality Council. Learn more at simplestepsbetterair.org. All right, let's get back to letting Jamey and Heather tell their story. Okay, and we're back.
We bought a school bus from a church.
Well, that was the first one, was from a church. The second one was from school district.
Yeah, but it was at a church too.
But it was, was it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So that's not the first time the author of all being has led me astray. Hats off to the author of all being, by the way. This is quite the universe you made here. Hey, so we had a bus and we changed it a little bit, and then we parked at a friend's house in Roslyn, and we toured a little bit on that bus. We put in some framed stuff inside. Anyway, we parked it at a friend's house and went to Alaska. We took a 2-week gig in Alaska that was supposed to pay us a couple $1,000. We were just going to be up there for 2 weeks, but we took the inside passage on a ferry and a black cat and a wire-haired fox retriever.
Fox Terrier.
It took 5 days to get up there on the boat. Got up there into Girdwood, Alaska, outside of Anchorage, to find out they had fired the talent buyer that hired us. They never heard of us. So we're up there pretty much broke. and cold. It was a little chilly in Alaska. We started, and that was in November. So I had a family up in North Part in Fairbanks. So we went up there and started a 2-year tour because we had to put some keyboards into Hawk. And when you hawk something in Alaska, plan on sticking around for a couple years till you can pay off the interest. So we did. And but that caused 2 years of another long, beautiful story in Alaska where we wrote several songs that are still, they made it onto albums. As a matter of fact, one of our songs, Our Tourist, came from there. Dancing Tree came from there. Many others. And we also toured hard with drummer and bass player. We've been through 50 drummers in this band in 32 years, mainly because we travel quite a bit and we also work as a duo. It's just more expedient and more efficient as a duo. And quite frankly, after 32 years, it's really difficult to find musicians who can step right in and meld and like a liquid stone, because that's what Raven Wolf is. It's liquid stone. It's like a magma. It's like we just kind of flow into a form. And though each gig, each night is a different flow and a different form. We've never played this club tonight, for example. And so I'm like relying kind of on you and some of the other faces I see in the audience to see if it is mixed okay, because we're just winging it. And every club we've ever played, and I've lost track of how many thousands of clubs I played, is different. So that becomes part of your job, and you have to go through many levels of not worrying about the tax of it, like the brutal sound man type stuff. You have to get in as a performer. And that's after hauling your gear wherever you had to haul it, setting it up and making sure you sound okay. Then let's talk about the art of performing, singing and playing your guitar. Catching me on the same magma flow so that we solidify the rock that is Raven Wolf. We usually do it about once a song. Sometimes we'll miss a song, but for the most part, we really enjoy playing, and we sometimes because of the difficulties of the road, because the road is famous for just chewing people up and spitting them out, we sometimes enjoy playing just at home, and it's too bad no one's listening because we're relaxed and we're performing, and oh my gosh, is it good.
We didn't have to haul our gear and set it up.
So we have 3 different PA systems. That bus got stolen. So years later, I'm back from Alaska, right, and I'm traveling out in the snow. And out in the wilds of eastern Washington, I see my bus out there in the snow. And they put a big stovepipe up and put a big wood stove in there. And I'd gone in and I marched out through the snow and knocked on the guy's door. He goes, "What took you so long?" And he knew it was me. And we sat and talked. And he had bought the bus. He didn't steal it. He bought the bus from the person who did steal it, the person that we parked it on the shores of her property. So the second bus was a diesel pusher, way different. We painted that one green, and we did it with some primer and some house paint, a really nice metallic house paint. And we had to leave for Oregon from Washington State in a driving rainstorm, which pelted the paint job on the bus into this beautiful tortoiseshell paint job that lasted on the bus forever. And that was our big giant green bus, and we toured heavily with that, with the diesel pusher. We slept in it. It was really nice until you break down. Going up the gorge out of Portland, Oregon, getting back into Washington State, and you break down at a gas station. That sucked. So we sold the bus right before we came here to Boulder about 14 years ago. And we have been through different gig rigs. We've been through trailers, many different trailers. We've just getting the equipment to the show is always can be a challenge. So therefore, we have a smaller PA, we have medium-sized PA, and a really big PA. Sometimes there's a house PA. We were the house band at the Peanut Farm in Anchorage when they asked us to perform there. And the Hells Angels came and hired us for 3 nights, made us play for 7 in a row. And the mosquitoes the sun never sets in Alaska.
They were shooting their guns off.
And black powder. We dug our
edge of a giant
dog out of the.
It was like
it was
the
horrible.
big ones you see.
Oh my God! And I looked down and I
Age.
had mosquitoes upon mosquitoes upon mosquito. She challenged Janis Joplin, buried her bra at an RV park, and she didn't sleep for 10 days because of the sun. Everybody thought we were doing drugs. You don't need drugs up in Alaska.
Oh, and there was the one other time when our gear got stolen and we had to buy it back from the
guitars?
local.
Yeah,
that
so
was a good
we woke up one night and the neighbor goes, "Hey man, you left your trailer open," and I'm like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah.
It's 2 feet snow, and they blasted off and stole the guitars and a bunch of meth heads, and they charged us $100 to get our guitars back. But we'd already ordered new guitars. they sent us new guitars, but with 2 pickups in them, and that's where the new sound of Raven Wolf started. 2 pickups and an acoustic guitar. Whoa. So we own 4 of those, and every single one of them busted. So I wish the company would call me back. Who am I talking to? So if the company called me back to get those guitars running, but we're still playing those guitars with different electronics in there.
Piezio.
Yeah, so we have different Piezios and pickups in them now. So that happened. So yeah, we've been ridden hard and put away wet. We're a Grateful Dead cover band, as it were. A lot of times we'll play a lot of Grateful Dead. We do, the Allman Brothers, and we do a lot of the 70s bands that I ended up opening for.
Why Raven Wolf, actually, now that I think about
so
The name?
good question.
You prepared this
So
on your way up, Mike.
it's a symbiotic relationship. Obviously, she's a raven, I'm the wolf. The Alaska experience was just on top. We named it that because of an over-the-shoulder nod and a thumbs up to the early blues musicians, specifically Howlin' Wolf, because we do pre-war blues, quite a bit of pre-war blues, and we were focused on that when we named the band. So we were going to be the Bird and the Wolf, but there was another band or 2 named Raven Wolf already, but we didn't even really think about that. I wanted to change it. So we were Raven Wolf like that because of the blues. But here's where it really came from. In the old scriptures from the Dead Sea Scrolls, I believed, and it turned out it was in the book of Benjamin in the Torah or in the Bible, the Hebrew Bible. It says, in the book of Benjamin, it says, you shall raven with the wolves. And somebody said that, guys, you guys are going to starve to death if you think Raven Wolf's going to get you a living and all that kind of thing. So I said, yeah, we shall raven with the wolves. And so Raven Wolf, so the word raven is different than raven. And raven, I put an umlaut on it to make it even worse in the early years. So not only do we have to frickin' spell it to everybody, but they had to get an umlaut or they couldn't get online to find us. So we just made a nightmare move. But we stuck with it, and Raven Wolf is Raven Wolf now.
And it is about the symbiotic relationship.
What do you hope people take away from Raven Wolf shows? In whatever form you guys take, is there anything you hope people just take away when they come to see you guys?
A psychedelic musical experience that makes them feel better and uplifts them, takes them out of their everyday grind.
If you've ever been into a outside setting, a lot of times when the weather's perfect, the music is nice and beautiful, and maybe you're having a glass of wine, maybe you just got done exercising, it's just your endorphins are up. And so my answer is we want people to have a really, really beautiful, warm experience when they're here with us, but it lingers afterwards. So that the sound is amazing. The song selection is amazing. The quality of the talent that they're listening to is amazing.
And it's never the same
And
twice.
it's never the
even
same.
if
The
it's
molten
nice
lava
song, yeah.
that forms the rock is different every time, and they're a part of it. So what I'd like for them to take away is that they were part of the big show.
I love that.
And that's a good.
I think those are the big things that I have. So
Good. You're
thank
good
you.
at this.
Thank
Very
you guys
good.
for taking your time. I
Thank
really
you for
appreciate it.
coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Jamey and Heather for taking time out of their Very Nice Brewing performance night to talk to me about their history as a duo. You can see them performing as Raven Wolf at the Very Nice Brewing Company location in Gilpin, located at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk on Saturday, July 11th, 2026, starting at 5 p.m. To learn more about them as a group, be sure to head to their website at ravenwolf.com. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back next week with another episode, and we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. Be sure to share this episode around with whoever you see fit, and subscribe to the Mountaineer Podcast today, wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Podchaser, and more. If you want to support the Mountaineer's efforts in journalism, be sure to subscribe to the Mountaineer today. There on our website, you can make a digital or physical subscription and find our full archive of Mountaineer podcast episodes by heading to the Mountaineer Media section on our homepage. There you'll also find our Facebook, our YouTube page, and our Instagram at mtn.ear. And finally, if you have any queries regarding the newspaper or the podcast, be sure to reach out to myself at media@themountaineer.com, my co-host Tyler Hickman at tyler@themountaineer.com, our editor-in-chief Barbara Hardt at info@themountaineer.com, and general inquiries at frontdesk@themountaineer.com. We'll see you guys very soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Just a girl, just a mother's pearl, just a legal search on the mind. Rolling, walking the back road, strolling, Jesus got a seasons on the wheel.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Just a Girl. It's performed here by Jamey and Heather Bilyeu of Ravin Wolf. This is a live acoustic performance, which you can find on their YouTube channel. You can also learn more about their music at their website, ravinwolf.com. They'll be performing at the Gilpin location of Very Nice Brewing Company, located at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk on Saturday, July 11th, 2026, starting at 5 p.m.
On the road, just a ride, just a place to hide, like a midday moon in the sky. Rolling, I'm walking the back road, strolling, Jesus got seasons on the wheel. Walk softly rolling.
Got a ride from the city back to my hometown. Everything seemed different but the same. I can't tell if anything's changed or just the inside of my head. I can't find out tonight. I'll just keep drinking instead.